Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV and the WRF, looking at the precipitation, and on the UKV the temperature over the next few days, as it is looking likely to be quite thundery as we do head into Saturday, and temperatures are going to climb significantly tomorrow, so potentially even touching into the low 30s, and that could continue into Saturday depending, but that all depends on how progressive those thunderstorms are during the afternoon. Beyond that, we'll have a look at the longer range, look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensemble to see what is in store as we do head through the middle of July, but unfortunately it's looking likely to be cool and fairly unsettled at this stage. So you remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So we start on the live radar. You can see there is a lot of heavy rain around actually at the moment, and this is the low pressure system that sat out to our west that is wafting up the southerly winds ahead of it. So it is turning hot, but not for all. These regions in the north and west that are seeing the rain at the moment are probably going to stay with that cloudy, rainy conditions until the low pressure has pushed through on Saturday. But fortunately, if you are to the east and the south of this weather front, the weather front's not going to make much progress, if not actually going to go a bit backwards over the coming hours, and that rain is going to sort of disintegrate away. But it is very much sort of weather conditions are split in two here: sunny and generally starting to climb in terms of temperatures in the south, and the east, further northwards and westwards, cold and rainy. You see that on the temperatures this afternoon around 4:30. Temperatures are starting to climb through England and Wales. Again, nothing ridiculous, but some more thick oranges here indicating temperatures into maybe the mid-20s today, 24 to maybe 26. Areas further northwards and westwards, high teens at best. Now, if we do go over to the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, you can see all that rain spreading in at the moment, but it doesn't make much more progress through this evening. Really just sort of disintegrates away and sticks where it is, if not goes a little bit backwards, retreating more towards far western coastal regions through Friday. So many regions tomorrow will be pretty dry, pretty sunny, and pretty warm, if not hot. As we do head into into Saturday, we can start to see the weather fronts reapproaching again, but it's a slightly different weather front. The weather front we initially had sort of swept away, but it's weather front associated with the same low pressure system, and that is slowly sweeping back in, and as it does engage with that hot, humid air, and we do see perhaps a line of thunderstorms breaking out. Again, there is a lot of uncertainty exactly how this will break out and in what intensity. On the UKV here, we can only look at 3-hour increments at this point. So unfortunately, we could be missing systems developing, popping in and out of existence, because you can see that initial line of storms develops between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m, but we don't really see it develop and then disintegrate by 3 p.m. So even though here it's not looking too severe, in those hours between we could see those storms become quite intense for a short time, and there's the risk of some more pop-up storms breaking out during the afternoon further westwards as well. So we need to keep a very close eye on this. WRF actually has a different sort of story altogether, really concentrating the storm risk further northwards. So we will have to see exactly what happens, but there still is a lot of uncertainty with this, as it's not just convection taking off, it's been aided by a weather front. So the timing of that weather front, the positioning and the strength of that weather front will have big impact on the severity of storms. But as we head into Sunday, it's going to turn more unsettled, see more periods of heavier rain coming in, especially during the afternoon. And as we head into Sunday, into Monday, more heavy showers and maybe some storms around as well. But again, pop-up convective showers more likely, as we do see a westerly flow. Still average here, really, but it's in between air masses coming in off the Atlantic. So it's quite an unsettled pattern with the conditions and the wind speeds coming in from the west. If you look at the max temperatures, see today perhaps getting into the low to mid 20s. Locally could be slightly higher than this, but widely 20 to 22 today. Again, locally could get as high as 25. As we do head into tomorrow, those temperatures will jump up as the upper air temperatures do jump, and you can see by the afternoon, we could see temperatures peak around that 27, 28, or more likely 29 or 30 degrees in a few spots. Again, these temperatures have been fluctuating slightly upwards and downwards over the last couple of days, but roughly around that 28 to 30 degree mark is the most likely top temperature, maybe even slightly higher. As we head into Saturday, things will be very difficult to say with the temperatures because you see our midday is going to be even hotter than Friday, 30 degrees in the east, and you expect by 3 p.m. with this trajectory to see 32 or 33. However, by 3 p.m., those temperatures have cooled significantly because the storms have rumbled through between that 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. point, bringing thicker cloud, rain that cools that air down rapidly. So if those thunderstorms are more delayed to later in the afternoon by only a couple hours, which is highly possible at this time frame, then those temperatures could rise even higher and maybe could be 32 degrees at 3 p.m. in those eastern regions. If the thunderstorms are even earlier, then temperatures might not rise above 25 degrees anywhere. So we will have to see exactly how it does play out. Saturday, very much a transition day from hot in the morning into the early afternoon to something cooler by the evening with some lingering warmth around as a result of that weather front. But we will just have to see. All things are in the balance with the positioning and the strength of that weather front. Now, if we do move over to Sunday, you'll be able to see it is quite a bit cooler in most regions. Again, could still sneak at 25 degrees in the east with some lingering warmth, but most regions are cooling down now. Into Monday, similar again, maybe low 20s, maybe even touching mid-20s in a few spots, but generally cooler than Friday and Saturday. Do go over to the WRF now. Just want to have a look at the thunderstorm risk from the WRF. If we have a look at the most unstable Cape, you can see as we head into Saturday, Cape levels do increase rapidly from around midday, peaking around the 4 or 5 p.m. point, but starting to move offshore here. And as we'll see, the Cape and the weather front don't quite align, and this means that the storm risk is highest in the north. But you can see there is significant Cape in the south, so we do have quite a high risk if those storms do initiate, if the low pressure system and the weather front engages with it, which is very uncertain. But you can see eventually the Cape does degrade away, but really is still strong till 7, 8, 9 p.m. in the evening, meaning if storms do get going and they do linger, could take a while for them to clear. If you do look at the precipitation, you can see that weather front does approach in the afternoon, but really not too much in the south and the east, but storms take off further northwards. Very interesting seeing that they're peaking around the 6 to 8 p.m. point. That is in quite a bit of contrast to the UKV that did have a strong line of storms from north to south with no real area seeing massive clustering. So yeah, very interesting seeing that once again from the WF, but just shows you the uncertainty we do have at this time frame. Tomorrow we have a look at the Rome run as well and see what that has in store for these storms as well. And hopefully these models will have converged a little bit better. But at this stage, unfortunately, still very uncertain. If we do move over to the long range now, have a look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles, you can see a westerly flow is going to be continuing over the coming days. Apart from this brief southerly we do have in tomorrow. Low pressure eventually does rumble through Sunday into Monday, bringing all those showers and the risk of longer spells of rain as well, and it's going to be really quite horrible many points next week with all this rainfall around. And as we head towards the following week, day 10 and beyond, no real signs of any change. Low pressure sticking by. Could see briefly higher pressure in the longer term, but majority of the time it is remaining pretty unsettled and pretty cold, with the wind veering in from the north and the west. It won't be cold all the time. There will be bursts of warmth from the south like we're seeing in the next 48 hours, but nothing sustained really at all. You see the upper air temperatures, even here with high pressure building in, the air masses are still not particularly warm because all of that westerly flow is keeping all the hot air at bay. You can see it's very intense across southern Europe, North Africa, into parts of the Middle East. But for the UK and northern Europe, really no warmth or heat at all, with that westerly flow just keeping things on the cool end. Because this time of year, if we did just generally see some settled weather, very little mixing of air, we can build our own homegrown heat. We can build mid to high 20s, if not 30 degrees from homegrown heat. But for that, we need those winds to fall light. But unfortunately here, it's looking likely to continue westerly flow for the foreseeable future. If you look at the GM, again, pretty similar over the coming days. Lots of low pressure around with the thunderstorm spell through Saturday, and then generally very unsettled into next week and all the way to day 10, keeping low pressure nearby and west-northwesterly flow. Again, air mass coming in from Greenland. Again, Greenland's not that cold this time of year, but regardless, it is colder than if the wind was coming from a southerly direction, with all this extremely hot air very far away. If you look at the ECMWF, again, very similar, low pressure running in off the Atlantic, continuing over the coming days, and all the way to day 10 once again, the wind veering in from more of a northerly here, so perhaps cooler. Again, doesn't look that bad on the upper air temperatures, but if we look at the temperature deviation, plenty of blues around. The 2 meter temperatures will be suffering because of that. We have a look at the 2 meter temperatures here at midday, struggling to reach 20 degrees in the middle of July, which is traditionally the hottest time of the year, statistically hottest time of year. It's like being in the middle of January when statistically it is the coldest time of the year, and seeing temperatures in the mid-teens. It's that sort of pattern, and yeah, pretty unusual, but not completely out of the ordinary. It is possible to get colder weather in July, just like it is possible to get warm weather in January. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully, fingers crossed though, it's a little bit more settled than what it's been the last few days, and what we're seeing currently on these charts. If you look over to the ensembles now, to finish the video, you can see this big spike of heat over the next sort of 2 days or so. And then generally we're towards average and below average with considerable precipitation, especially next week, making it feel very unsettled and really quite horrible in general. The 2 meter temperatures are going to spike this weekend through Friday and Saturday, and then beyond that, low 20s look likely. Again, nothing spectacular. If we do finish by just looking at the ECMWF, once again, very similar to the GFS, a big spike of heat this next 2 days, and then average to below average all the way to around the 20th of July. Not looking good. There are some warmer outliers, but the majority are on that sort of mid-single-digit trend, which again doesn't sound too bad, but is below average for the time of year, with plenty of heavy rain as well, with some big rainfall spikes appearing here. So like we had a couple of days ago with all that heavy rain around, looking likely to see more of those sort of patterns, especially with lots of low pressure systems spiraling in and around us. So if you have had a lack of rain recently, if you are looking forward to some rain, it's looking like we're going to be getting plenty over the next few weeks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Make sure to stay safe for the next few days. Of course, I will update you on that thunderstorm risk this weekend. There is the possibility of weather warnings to be issued, but again, we'll have to see some more confidence within the models for those thunderstorms before I think the Met Office will issue anything. And of course, tomorrow we'll have a look at the Arome run and the other short-range models in more detail, as we hopefully will have a bit more of a consensus with the positioning and strength of those storms through Saturday. As I said, thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.